Hi everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. I'll just maybe give it a couple of seconds just to let another few people join. I know it's just turned to 4 o'clock, but we'll get started soon. Thanks very much for joining. We will have an opportunity for you to ask a lot of questions to different people throughout the event. So if you already have some questions you're thinking it might be good to some of our kind of panelists, please do put them in the Q&A box. But otherwise, I'll just start in about 30 seconds time. Okay, I can see the numbers have went up now, so I'll probably just get started. As I say, this event is for all of our offer holders that are joining us in one of our assurance sub-service lines in our graduate or apprenticeship programmes this September. So thanks so much for giving up your time to join this webinar today. My name is Rachel Graham and I work in the student recruitment team. I've been at EY for over 10 years myself. I actually also joined as a summer intern first and then as a graduate, and was in that service line for about around 4 years before kind of moving over to the student recruitment team. So I've kind of been where you have been as well. I'll just go to the next slide now where we're just going to cover what the format of the event is going to be today. So first of all, we're going to have a partner welcome. So we've got one of our UKI audit partners, Lynn, on the call, who's going to give a bit of an overview into her career so far, her current role within EY, and she'll kind of give you maybe some advice for new joiners joining the firm. We're then going to have a graduate and apprentice panel. So we've got four volunteers that have volunteered to join us today to speak about their experiences joining on the various programmes, what role they currently do, what office they're in. So definitely please put some questions in if you want to find out more about their different areas. And then finally, if there's any questions that have came up throughout that are maybe more for the student recruitment team about before you join, then I'll cover some of those if we have time at the end. But yeah, this is just a chance for you to hear a little bit more about the assurance service line and hopefully get excited to join us later on this year. So if we just move on to the next slide, I'm now just going to pass over to Lynn. So thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's a really busy time for everyone just now in assurance, but it's great to have you here to kind of share some experiences and congratulate everyone on the call who has an offer to join us. I'll just pass over to you and feel free to speak through your kind of career journey so far and your current role and any words of advice that you have for everyone on the call. I'll pass over to you if that's okay, Lynn.
Yep, sure. Thank you very much, Rachel. And welcome, everybody. This is so exciting. Firstly, big congratulations to you all for receiving an offer from EY. I would cast my mind back, but it's too far away from when I was in your position. And as Rachel was saying, how long she's been at the firm, almost 10 years. And it just made me think I've been in the firm probably longer than some of you have been alive. So that makes me feel really good. But I will give you a little bit of insight into sort of what I do on a day-to-day basis. But maybe I'll kick off with my journey and how I got to be in the UK. So I'm not sure if you can make out from the accent, but I'm not actually from the UK, which is I would say at the moment, I'm probably going to get the stats wrong, but a big percentage and proportion of assurance specifically are from different countries, which is amazing. And it's really great because it means that we have such a big, diverse culture in EY, which is amazing. But I started my career as a graduate in the Cape Town office almost 20-something years ago. And when I finished my training contract, I had an offer to come to the UK to help them out for 3 months. And then 3 months turned into 6 months, turned into 9 months, and then turned into 21 years. So this is where I am today. I am an audit partner in the energy sector. So my clients are the likes of through to some of the utility companies. So I audit which is a utility company, the Scottish utility company. So I get to travel up to an area called Perth in Scotland, if anybody's heard of it. And from a pure client perspective, what I really love about my job is the fact that I get to work with the likes of your big corporates. And then I also get to work with smaller independent players in the sector, which is great because it gives you a big variety of people that you're dealing with and issues that you're dealing with. So I can definitely tell you that on a day-to-day basis, every single day is different, which I personally love. So that's from a pure client perspective. Another big role and very important role that I also play in the firm is the diversity, equity and inclusion leader for assurance. And that's, as somebody coming from South Africa, that's really something that I'm exceptionally passionate about creating a space and a place where everybody feels that they belong. And because I've been at the firm for so many years, I can definitely say that I definitely feel that this is a place that I belong, and I can be myself. And everybody around me, I think the sentiment you'll get and you'll hear from people throughout is, we want to get the best out of you, and we can only get the best out of you if you are being your true self. So I will come back to sort of the advice at the end, but one of the things I would definitely sort of strongly suggest and would want you all to keep with yourselves is when you walk through those doors, is that you are who you are and you stay true to who you are, because it will be much more enjoyable experience. So I can talk forever about either my clients, or I can talk about diversity, equity and inclusion, but I only have, I think it's 10-15 minutes, so I won't be able to get into too much detail. But other than that, outside of the clients and outside of my formal diversity, equity and inclusion role, a big part of what we do as leaders is really coaching and guiding our people, because our assets are our people. So we really invest a lot of time in our people, whether that's through formal coaching, whether that's through specific courses, technical training, etc. But a lot of what you'll get out of your time when you join is on the job coaching. So you'll work with people that are more than happy to and willing to give up their time for you, and give you that experience that you are looking for. So if there's any advice I can give you as you're thinking about what you do sort of on day one, and I appreciate that whilst it's in September, it's actually around, it might feel ages away, it might feel like it's too far away, but actually I can tell you that time will go by so quickly. Definitely take advantage of holidays, take advantage of sleeping in late, all this kind of good stuff. But I'm very excited for you to join in September, because this is it's such, for me, if it is anything like it was for me, it's such an amazing start of the new milestone in your life, and it's a really great place to do that, to start that milestone. In terms of advice, when you join, I would say two things. I would say, be curious. The good old saying, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Absolutely ask whatever question is on your mind. EY is definitely a place that we want to learn from you as much as you learn from us. Bring your energy, bring your excitement, because that's the bit that I personally get very excited about in September, is meeting all the new grads and all the new apprentices. Probably going to get that word wrong, but that's the bit that I really look forward in the year, is welcoming the new energy that comes when you all join. And then the second bit of advice I would have for you is this network that you will have when you join on day one. is probably going to be the most powerful network that you have in your career. You will be working with people that are pretty much in the same boat as you. And so really leaning to that network, get to know your colleagues, get to know your peers, because you will be a great support for each other as your career develops. So, Rachel, that was all I was going to say. Is there happy to take any questions if there's time, or do you just want me to hurry up and get done?
No, that was great. Thank you so much. No one's put any questions in yet. I think everyone's just warming up a little bit. But I think that was really useful, and it's good to hear a journey of someone who's got to partner level, very aspirational. I suppose one question that I was just going to ask from myself, but might be interesting to everyone else, is maybe why do you think this is an exciting time to work in EY? I think that's something good for people that are joining this year. What do you think there's anything that's kind of happening just now in EY that makes this an exciting place to work at the moment?
Great question, because I feel, coming back to sort of what excites me in my 21-year career in the UK, the reason that I'm still here is because, there's always something new, there's always something exciting happening right now, and it's probably been like that for the last year, and it will be going, that will sort of be the trend over the next few years, is the two hot topics I would say is AI and everything we're doing around innovation and data. We have made a $1.4 billion investment in AI as a global firm, and that's a big number, right? It's a lot of money, but we already in audit are seeing so much benefit in being able to use different forms of AI in our audit to be able to execute our audit. So sort of all the sort of boring, mundane stuff in our job, with some of the ticking and bashing, that's all being replaced by technology, and that's really helpful and good, because it just means that you then don't get stuck in doing the boring stuff, and you can really focus on the more exciting things. So that would be one topic, and then the second topic is sustainability and climate change. I feel really proud of when I see EY sort of in the news or in various forums talking about what we're doing, how we're helping clients move forward. I think, as I said, I work on the Shell audit, and in that energy sector, which is very topical when it comes to climate change. But working with those clients and understanding what they're doing around net zero and some of their ambitions around carbon reduction is really amazing, and it's exciting, because I feel like I'm sort of in the, I'm there. I'm sort of in the forefront of sort of what's happening, and it's really exciting to hear. So that, as I said, those are the two areas I think makes EY really exciting at the moment, is everything we're doing around AI and all the investment that we're making, and the forward agenda for climate change. And then overall, as I said, I will talk about it again, and I don't know if you're going to talk about this today, but maybe you definitely will when you come in September, and that's all around our all-in strategy. And our all-in strategy it encompasses a lot, but it's about how all of us, it doesn't matter where you are, but how we, coming back to the benefit and the power of network, how we network as one global firm. I feel really privileged that I was able to come from Cape Town to London, but in between that and still today, I get to travel to all different places, and that's really super helpful for my own personal development. I get to experience different cultures. I get to experience different people, and one thing I can say is that it doesn't matter where, in which office, in which country, in which EY office, in which country, in which EY office you are, in which country. The one thing that's constant, and I don't actually know how we do this, but the one thing that's constant is our culture. So you get that same feel, that same vein of, or thread of people really excited to be at EY, people feeling that they are really getting sort of the best out of their career, and they're excited about it, and they bring that energy, and that's, for me, is awesome.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And actually, I know we have kind of ran to time, but we literally did have one question that specifically came in for you. So we'll just cover that before we finish up. Natalie has said, thank you, Lynn. What has been the most rewarding experience in your journey with EY? So that's a nice one to end with.
That's a big question. And I don't think I can do it any justice, because there's been so many, and I genuinely mean this, there's been so many, from from just moving to the UK on my little 3-month stint, which now it's been 20 years, to becoming an equity partner. I mean, that was, as a, first person in my family to go to university in Cape Town to be an equity partner in EY in London, is just been, from a career perspective, just, I wouldn't have thought about it. I wouldn't even have dreamt about it when I was sort of in your position. And then I would say the other thing is, in December, we just won or retained audit for another 10 years, and that was I was a big part. I was one of the 4 people that ended up in the final meeting with the client, and that was big, because it's a massive audit, and it was a very rewarding, personally rewarding experience to have been part of such a massive opportunity, but also, from a financial perspective, it's important for us as a firm, and so that was awesome. I would say, yeah, I didn't really do that justice, but there's been lots of highlights in my career, but making partner, and I think retaining that win has probably been one of the highlights.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That's been really useful, and we've got lots of other questions that we can ask our graduates and apprentices as well. But no, thank you so much for your time, Lynn.
You're welcome.
And hopefully you'll see some of these people soon.
I'm sure I will. I'm really sure I will. I do usually get involved in the induction program in September, so I'm sure I will see you all there. So if I'm repeating myself, please forgive me. But really, I was going to say lovely to meet you, but I can't see any of you on the screen. But yeah, do reach out if there's anything else that I can help and support with. I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah, do reach out if you need anything. But thank you, Rachel, for sorting this out as well.
No problem. Thank you very much. So now we're going to move on, and more chance to ask questions, but from different members of staff. So we will go on to our graduate and apprentice panel. So you can see kind of on the screen there, we've got different people from different offices and sub-service lines within assurance. So what I will just do first is if we can just go left to right, and if everyone can maybe just do a quick introduction. I know the key information is on the slides, but even if you can just say, what office you're in, just reiterate what service line, how long you've been at EY, and maybe, if you came straight from school or university, what you studied, just a bit of a brief introduction before we go into the questions. So if I can just go left to right, if I can just start with you, Ethan, if that's okay.
Yeah, afternoon everyone, I'm Ethan. I'm in the Southampton office in corporate audit in particular. Joined straight after college, and I've been here for just over a year and a half.
Amazing. Quite new to the firm then. I suppose in other terms, I mean, I've been here over 10 years, so anything less than that feels quite new. Perfect. Dia, can I go to you?
Hey guys, I'm Dia, and I joined EY in 2022 as a business apprentice, and I joined specifically in BCM audit, which we audit banks and capital markets companies, and I'm based in the London Canary Wharf office.
Thanks. On you go, Brandon.
Thanks. I'm Brandon, I'm from the Glasgow office, and much like Ethan, I've been here, I think, just over 15, 16 months in my second year. Came from a background of studying in accountancy and finance at University of Glasgow. Done my fair share of small part-time jobs, but also done sales for a while before joining, but here now, so.
Thank you, Brandon.
Amazing, thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Baddy. I'm in the technology risk team, which is a bit different than the rest of assurance. But I'm in the London Bridge office, and I've joined EY just last September.
Amazing, thank you so much. So all kind of different backgrounds, different experiences and working in different service lines. I know that everyone on the call will be joining maybe different sub areas. So we tried to get a bit of a mix. Obviously couldn't get one for all of the areas within assurance, but hopefully you'll get to hear some more about maybe an office that you're joining or one of the areas that you're joining. So we have got a few questions that have started to go in, but I thought one of the questions that would be good to start with, and again, I'll just start with you, Ethan, and we can go along. But what kind of made you join the office that you joined, the service line that you joined, and the programme? So I'm thinking as well for like the first two, you're obviously business apprentices. So what made you want to join an apprenticeship rather than go to university as well? So maybe just a bit more about what made you kind of choose EY and how you got here. So I'll start with you again,
sure.
Ethan.
Yeah, put me on the spot.
Sorry.
No, I heard about this through one of my friends. She's actually in the Southampton office when I was in college. And then I did a week's work experience here, and just decided that I didn't really want to go to uni, and I thought a job would be better suited to me. So I applied and then got an offer and then accepted it, which is sort of how I ended up here. I've completely forgotten what the rest of the question was, sorry.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. That's perfect. Just get a bit more insight into that. I'll just pass to you as well, Dee. I know you joined as an apprentice as well.
So a few people from my school had applied to various apprenticeship programs, so I'd heard about it through them. And my mum works in accounting as well, so she was quite knowledgeable about the different companies, the different accountancy firms. So she gave me a lot of advice, and I applied, and I guess, yeah, I got the offer, and I took it the same year I got it. But yeah, I applied for financial services specifically because of my background in maths and economics. I thought my background would sort of fit the role a bit more better than other areas. Yeah.
Amazing, thanks. And what about yourself, Brandon?
Honest, I've been very, very lucky and probably privileged to have fell and stumbled my way through onto EY. Accountancy and finance wasn't originally my first pick at uni. Obviously, I studied that, and then I guess just through everyone else in uni saying they're applying to the Big Four, all the talk about the Big Four this, Big Four that. So put the applications out, and I managed to get an internship for EY. Following the internship, I was given the job offer. The reason I picked audit is my stepdad started in audit, and it was all I really knew, to be honest. So for probably a lack of knowledge, but I'm happy with where I am. So lucky and privileged, like I said.
And that's good, because I'm sure a lot of other people on the call will have fell into the situation as well and maybe didn't know as much before. So thanks for sharing that. And what about yourself, Baddy?
Well, to be honest, I've got a lot of reasons. It would be really hard to just name one. But I did do the summer internship originally. And honestly, I loved the culture here. I loved the work style. And I loved the office. I did pick technology risk in particularly just because, to be honest, I did my degree in computer science, and it kind of just 2 and 2 fit together.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
And I'm just looking, we've had quite a lot of questions come through already, and some of them are around obviously the kind of lead up to joining, or the kind of first week. So, I mean, Mariam here has asked, is there anything you wish you had done to prepare before starting at EY? And also, how did you settle into your team and workload? So I don't know, all of you have started like fairly recently, I suppose, but Baddy, you said you were last September. So is there anything you wish you'd done to prepare before starting, and how do you feel you kind of settled in to the workload after university?
To be honest, I think a lot of the workload between university and EY will look the same. The only thing is you'll get a lot of different tasks here, and I wish I knew. I guess it's more of a skill, but I wish I learned how to manage my tasks a bit better. Nowadays, I'll have a list of what I have to do for when it's due and things like that, but I'll be on different teams. Even within these teams, I'll have 5 to 10 different tasks, all to be done at different dates, and I wish I knew how to manage them a bit better before joining. But you do get a lot of support from your team if you're just straightforward with them and honest.
Yeah, definitely. And coming on as an apprentice, I don't know, Dia, do you have any advice for people maybe coming on to an apprentice? Is there anything that you wish you'd done to prepare before you started, or anything that you did do?
I guess I was quite shy when I joined, so I wasn't as open to maybe reaching out to management and like above managers. So I definitely think being open to learning, I guess, not necessarily learning, but don't be afraid to ask questions to managers because they're all there to help. They all want to make your experience the best, and especially straight out of school, I wouldn't try and see them as intimidating. I feel like everyone's quite friendly and everyone's quite open to helping. So yeah, definitely be open to reaching out to different people. And I would say there isn't much to prepare for, but definitely don't I would just say be open to learning. Yeah.
I think people think they need to like have knowledge of the service lines and things before they join, but apart from just the general research, I think all the training you will get when you join, so it's not to worry too much. And always feel like enjoy your last kind of big long summer before you join the workforce. Will has asked, what can we expect during our first week at EY in terms of the types of tasks we'll be doing? So there will be more information that will come out on our onboarding system about your induction and what to expect from the induction team. But I know, Brandon, you said it wasn't that long ago since you joined. Do you remember how quickly you started getting into client work?
Yeah, so I was one of the ones that had 6 exemptions from my first block of ICAS. So I was straight into client work, not necessarily on the first day. First day for me looked like coming into the office, meeting your peers, meeting the people that you're going to be studying with, going to be learning with in your kind of cohort. Second day, very similar. It's I don't want to put any of the offices under pressure, but more often than not, they'll have some sort of social event for you joining. That gets you to know all the other people that you're going to be working with. I'd say probably the next week after that, after I've got my kind of mandatory small trainings out the way, which isn't anything that you would need to worry about. It's not anything that you need there's no prerequisite to have any knowledge over it. It's just it's very simple stuff. But after I got them out the road, that was me. I was straight into client work, and it didn't start as anything like too technical or anything beyond what I was already aware of. But it was more just like maybe what Lynn referred to earlier on was the boring stuff, the kind of ticking in time. But what you need to realise while you're doing that is you're doing that to learn the bigger process, which is something that took me a while to realise. At first I thought, like, why am I just sitting ticking in time through invoices? But then if you get a good manager and you get to ask the good questions with them, you'll realise after you join that you'll build connections with certain managers more than others, and you'll feel more comfortable asking them questions. They're the ones that you can ask. So why am I ticking and tying this through, and what goes wrong if something here doesn't match, which is probably the most useful part to learning when you join, is asking questions like that.
Thanks so much. And you've kind of touched on the next thing I was going to speak about. I know you mentioned ICAS, like qualifications, like studying. So I don't know if everyone here does the same qualification, so I can double check when we're doing the answers, but it was just to ask like how you've found your experience has been with the qualification so far. And Luke has asked how you've found balancing your workload alongside the qualification. So I don't know, Ethan, I'll go to you first. What qualification are you doing, and how have you kind of found studying for that so far alongside your work?
Yeah, and I'm doing ACA exams. which I think most people in audit in England will be doing. And it is hard work. So for everyone out there, be prepared to revise quite a lot. But EY is really supportive of you. They do give you a decent amount of time off of work to study and go to college and have tutoring. And your managers, if you tell them that you have exams and you have to go at 5 o'clock and you can't work overtime, then everyone does support you when you say that. So EY does support you, but they are quite tough, especially the sort of second and third level of exams. They can be quite tricky.
Thank you so much. And Baddy, what qualification do you study towards in technology risk, and how have you found that so far?
So similarly, in tech risk, we've also been, well, I've been studying towards the ACA as well. Like Ethan said, it is quite difficult, but once you have it, you'll have it forever. I did feel overwhelmed at times, but the teams I have been on have been quite supportive and understanding. Most of them have done the same qualification, so everyone understands the journey you're going on. And it's quite, to be honest, it's quite motivating. Once you have it, you have it. And that's that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is the advice. They are hard work, but once you put the hard work in, it's worth it in the end. So we've had a question here, and I suppose what I'll probably do is ask the apprentices, if you'd maybe came straight from school, you maybe didn't have that as much of a background, but Charlie has asked, do you have any advice for someone without much of a financial background? So I don't know, Dia, did you say you came straight from school and therefore wouldn't have had that financial background? Is that right?
Yep, so the closest I guess I had to the exams I've completed so far is the fact that I did economics, but I wouldn't say any of the exams are very similar. So I guess the course for apprentices is structured in a way where you do learn everything from scratch in college, so they don't assume you have any previous knowledge, and the chapters are done in a way where you do start with basics. So I wouldn't say you're disadvantaged when you don't have a financial background, because most of us don't, and most of us come from school. Some have worked for a few years and then joined EY, but yeah, the course is designed in a way where you don't need to worry about not having a financial background.
Would you agree with that, Ethan? Do you have anything you would add to that?
No, I totally agree. I don't have any financial background at all, or accounting or anything closely related. And they do break you into it quite nicely. They space out the exams quite a lot in your first year. I think you have like one every 2 or 3 months sort of thing. And they do, yeah, they are quite sort of gentle with you in the first year, I'd say.
And I know I'm not technically on the panel, but as I said, I joined in audit as well before moving into recruitment team, and I came from uni, but I did a languages degree. So I'd come into audit, as I say, from doing a languages degree, didn't have any financial background. And although the exams are hard, I don't think I was technically disadvantaged alongside my other peers who'd maybe done accounting degrees, because they teach you as if you know nothing. And I did ICAS and they teach you obviously in a specific way, so I feel like I just learned from scratch from like the ICAS way. I didn't have to like change how I'd learned something from university. So I think everyone comes in on quite an even slate, and the teachers are all really good that we work with as well. So hopefully that makes people feel better that are maybe worried about coming from a non-financial background. And just before we move away from the qualification stuff, because I know people have a lot of questions on that, there's been a question here about working and studying at the same time, or do you get breaks? So I know different qualifications do it differently, but for example, Brandon, how is it that you've been doing exams? Have you been doing it in a block where you go out for like 4 weeks and then you do the exam at the end of it? Is that still the way ICAS works?
So for the majority of it, I would say it's roughly like 3 months work and then like a 6-week block of ICAS. There is some parts of it that's like you might get a week or two to study, and then it'll be like an essay type question afterwards. But for the majority, you'll be at either ICAS or ACA, whatever your relevant qualification is, or you'll be at work. It's not often you'll really have to combine the two. And if it is, it's on the essay questions, which you'll normally get like maybe it's due on the Monday, you'll get the Friday and the Monday off, so that you've still got time to do it, and you won't be getting pressured from your teams, and all the teams are very understanding of that.
Perfect, thank you so much. So hopefully that's given a bit more of an insight into what the exams are like. I know that is a big part of the training contracts when you first join. We've had a question here that's specifically around technology risk, so if I can just come to Baddy quickly. Someone's asked what kind of work is done in the technology risk team and how does a tech risk data analyst fit into this? So I thought I'd come to you on that one if that's okay.
No worries. So in tech risk, a lot of our work, so we've actually got two types of clients, which is, I believe, is unique just for tech risk. We have channel 1 and channel 2. In channel 1, we typically will do IT audit, which I'm not sure if that makes sense to anyone, but it's it's a lot like audit, but instead of the financial statements, we'll look at the actual systems that the company relies on. But in channel 2, we also get consulting projects, which will involve a lot of maybe building an SAP network or system for a client. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of the time tech risk and audit and a lot of other teams within EY work quite close together as well. Like you won't only just be working with people from your service line. Obviously that is the majority of time will be spent in that, but a lot of teams kind of cross work together as well. So you'll kind of meet all the people that you join with and all of your other cohort, but you'll work with kind of other teams in the work that you do as well. Let's see what other questions that we've maybe not touched on yet. Someone's asked, in the first few years, how much travelling do you do as an apprentice? But I suppose just across everyone, has anyone had any exciting, been able to travel anywhere exciting, or where's the furthest place you've been able to travel? I know things maybe have changed a little bit since COVID with travel, but does anyone have any interesting stories about travelling anywhere for work?
Jump in. I mean, the most exciting place I've been to is probably London for either the Canary Wharf office or MLP. And that might not be exciting to you, Dia or Baddy, but for us, it's a nice wee trip away. Apart from that, it's Perth or Edinburgh, but there is people in my office in my yearly cohort who have been to Germany for a client, and I think there's one of our jobs in Glasgow that also requires us to go to Miami. It's not one of the jobs I'm on, sadly, so I've not been involved in that. But there is travelling there, and it'll all just be dependent on what job you're on and whether or not someone of your level is required to go.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone else have any other trip? I always found when I was in audit, even if it was somewhere that you think's not that exciting, you get to stay in a nice hotel and get to expense dinners and stuff. So, I mean, anywhere you get to go can be fun. Actually linked to that though, just in terms of maybe not traveling further afield, but a question that we get a lot is around hybrid working and how much you're working in the office and how much you're working at home versus client site. So I wonder if you could give a bit of an insight into what your experience has been since you've joined. So Ethan, I'll come to you. How does it usually work in your office between kind of clients or office or working from home?
It really depends on what you're doing, I think. Some teams, if you're in like the busiest period, maybe straight after year end or close to signing, you might be in the client's office or in our office maybe 3 or 4 days a week. But other times, if it's maybe a smaller engagement and it's just you that's booked, then you can kind of do what you like. You could work from home all week if you wanted to. We could come in 1 or 2 days. So I think it really does just vary on your team, what stage of the audit you're in, who your manager is, just sort of everything really. But I'd say a general rule of thumb is maybe in the office 2 or 3 days a week. I'd say that's a fairly sort of average amount of days that I'd be in.
And I know you're in a different office and you're also in financial services, Dia. So do you have any other different experiences of that, or would you say that's pretty consistent with you as well?
Yeah, that's pretty similar to what we do when it gets busier. We're in the office a bit more, but it really depends on the client. So my current client is, and we have a bit more flexibility. So as long as we go to the client's office for 2 days, they don't mind where you work from for the rest of the days, even when we do get busier, because yeah, it just really depends on the team. Whereas my December year end, which is a spank, we were in 5 days closer to sign off, but again, it just depends on the stage of the audit or how your team like to work.
Definitely. And I think that is the way most people are working now, in that kind of hybrid way. So it gives a bit of variety. One thing, I know we've focused a lot on kind of the work and the studying, but there obviously is like a good kind of social side to EY, a lot of communities, networks. I don't know what your, if anyone wants to give some experience of, you know, what the kind of office socials are like, or if they're part of any kind of clubs or networks at EY. I don't know if anyone wants to jump in on that.
You know yourself, Rachel, that the Glasgow office is quite good for throwing a social.
They do. They love a social.
We'll throw a social at the drop of a hat. I don't know if that's maybe just our culture up here or if the other offices do the same. But yeah, in terms of clubs and teams and things like that, we do a five-a-sides, which tends to be on during the summer and gets called off during the winter when the weather gets worse. But we've also got other things like, I'm sure there's a badminton club, and we've got like a table football kind of club as well going.
Yeah, I feel like all the offices get budgets and things for like Christmas parties and to do kind of whatever they want to do, and then a lot of people do more socials within their kind of service line as well, don't they? I don't know, Baddy, is there anything that you kind of networks or social sides that you would highlight from your time so far?
So, like you said, we do have Christmas parties as well. And I have seen they do push the networks in EY a lot. I've seen, I believe, touch rugby, netball, a running club as well, volleyball as well, I believe, and that's all I remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's a lot more. There's a lot more too. Aside from that, I haven't had the opportunity to join any of them.
Yeah, I think that it's the type of thing, the longer you're at with EY and you meet different people, you can get involved in kind of various things. And I know we have a lot of networks as well. Like we have the women's network that you can be a part of that do a lot of like webinars and events. And we have like a race and ethnicity network, etc. So there's a lot of different things to get involved with. But I know when you first join, you'll have a lot of exams and you'll be really busy. So it's just trying to, once you kind of get into the swing of it and meet more people, there's, yeah, lots of things to get involved with in sports teams as well. So I just had a question there and it's disappeared from my screen, but don't know where it's went. But one question that I was going to ask was around and I think someone asked this to Lynn as well. But so far, what would you say has been your kind of highlight of working at EY so far? So I know that one of the highlights for me was when I did finish my ICAS qualification, because you go through all of the kind of hard work and then they have like a admission ceremony for you. So that's one of the kind of highlights that I've had working at EY. But I was just wondering if any of you have any highlights so far or your kind of favourite moments that you would flag from working at EY. So I don't know, Dia, will I go to you on this one?
So I guess this is quite cliche, but I'd say the highlights are like with the people I've met in EY. So when we got promoted to senior back in October, we had a residential training week in Warwick, which is obviously not that exciting, but the people were quite good and we had a lot of events held in the evenings, and it was such a nice like time to get together and, you know, like let loose a bit. I guess we had the training in the day, but like all the events in the evenings were quite a lot of fun, and we had a lot of games and stuff. And I guess because you've been with like all your colleagues for like 2 years at this point, you're all quite pretty close. So yeah, that was one of my highlights. And I definitely say all the other socials I've had have been highlights. But yeah, I would say that's the biggest highlight so far that week.
No, that's really good, and I feel like socials will always stick in people's mind as well as being highlights. Ethan, would you have anything you want to add on that?
Honestly, no. I think mine would be the same as Dia's. So I won't repeat what you said, but yeah, all the people are amazing here. So
The people are a lot of people's favourite things about working at EY, so I'm not surprised. Brandon, have you got any highlights that you would flag?
I had three in my no, sorry, it's come back to me there. I would say signing dates, and if you're working on client sites. The other ones is London Canary Wharf, going down there for training. That was really good. Again, you're out with all your peers and your cohort as well, so good socials. But on top of that, there was a training that sticks out in my mind, which I found very, very useful. And I honestly turned around to one of the boys that was doing it with me after it and says, I think this has been my best day at EY. And it was purely just because the training was something that I was so interested in. It was a client-centric training where you learn how to ask questions that lead to the answers that you're wanting. And I just thought it was such a powerful tool to learn so early on in my career that, like, going forward, I now know how to phrase my questions, how to ask the right questions to get the right information, as opposed to closed-ended questions and things like that. I just felt as if it was so beneficial for me that it genuinely did feel like one of the best days here.
It's quite cheesy, but I do like that, Brandon.
I'm being honest, I genuinely
No, I
really
like your
enjoyed
honesty.
it.
And Baddy, what about yourself?
Well, I've had a lot of moments where, I could be proud of my work. I think I've done well and I'll get praise for it. And that's definitely a highlight for me as well. Aside from that, though, EY has a lot of CSR activities where I could volunteer to do this or that. And recently I've taken up a sort of mentor-mentee program. So I've become a mentor to a year 12 student, and to be honest, it's quite fulfilling to do. I could be quite proud of it, and it's very fulfilling to see how they grow and improve as time goes on. So that's definitely a highlight for me as well. And it's, EY has supported me. It's with the EY Foundation, and yeah, I'm quite happy with it.
Oh, that's really nice. It's good that we have all these different kind of opportunities. So that's really good for you to kind of flag that. One question I was going to cover, because I've seen a few people kind of asking about it in the comments, and a lot of people do ask us this when we meet them, is around like busy season or workload or kind of busy times. So I suppose if people could maybe give a bit of context around what is busy season or what is like a busier period for you. And someone's asked, does technology risk also have a busy season like regular audit? So it'd be just quite good to, each of you to kind of give a bit of, because people want a bit of realistic overview of what a busy season may entail or how busy is a busy season. So I don't know, Ethan, I could come to you first. Have you had
yeah,
like
sure.
busier periods with clients? Could give a bit of context around that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely varies from person to person, and I'm also sure that it varies a lot in London and the other big offices than maybe Southampton and the other regional offices. But for me, my busy period is November to sort of the end of January, February time, which you are quite busy. I think I've worked quite late quite a few times, but the whole team will do the same as well. So it's not just you sat by yourself for 5 hours after everyone's gone home. The team's there. You can expense dinner. So it's not, it might sound quite bad, but it's not as bad as I think it seems to be. And then the rest of the year is quite chilled normally for me in sort of work terms. And then my exams start as well straight afterwards. So yeah.
Amazing, thank you. And then Dia, in financial services, would you say anything kind of is different there or a different kind of busier period for you?
Like Ethan mentioned, I guess the London offices, a lot of the financial services companies are based here. So I would say I've faced quite a lot of busy periods, but it really depends on the client. So my December year end tends to get quite busy in Feb time, and we're quite a large team, and we also merged with another bank, so I guess that caused us to be really busy. But like my current client, we're not really ever that busy, like we managed to sign the audit on time, and that we're quite flexible with when we're in the office. So I guess, yeah, it really does depend. But I would say I did struggle during busy season in my first year because I found it quite tough to, I guess, manage my time. But I would say as time progresses, you do become better with setting boundaries and, yeah, prioritizing certain areas or even prioritizing yourself. Like, I wouldn't say you should stop, I don't know, your hobbies just for a few months. Like, definitely do continue, and you should be able to communicate with that with your teams as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's something that you learn by doing, I suppose, once you join and kind of learn on the job. And yeah, the question around tech risk and do they have similar or different busy periods to audit? Can I pass to you, Baddy, to cover that?
Sure. So in tech risk, we do face a similar busy season, although it is a bit different. Our busy period is around, I'd say, January to April. So it's a bit more, it's a bit later than audit typically. It is a bit more relaxed than audit as well, though. So in our busy periods, we're less busy than audit, but in our regular periods, we'll be a bit more busy than audit instead. So on average, you'll be working around the same. But to be honest, in tech risk, it really depends on the clients you're on. I know a lot of my peers haven't had to work late at all, so I don't think they've even felt busy season. Personally, I have had times where I've had to work quite late. I think a big portion of that, though, is how Dia said, I had to learn how to set more boundaries. I had to learn how to say no to some work and how to communicate with my team a bit better. So that's something I definitely picked up on as I went along.
Great, thanks for that insight. I know things are different across all the different kind of sub-service lines as well. I was going to move on to the last question, which I will do in a second, but I've just seen one pop up that I did think was a good question. I'll go to Brandon for this because you didn't answer the last one, but someone asked, did you suffer from any imposter syndrome when you started your career after university? So I know this is a big thing. People are worried that they're going to show up and not feel that they're good enough or they don't know enough. Is that something you felt when you came into EY after university, Brandon?
No. I can see why you would maybe feel like that, but I think it's more just about getting the head down and not letting that feeling overcome you. Like you do come into the business, and for me, like even though I studied accountancy and finance, within like my first few weeks and hearing people talking about standards and like you need to classify it like this, and like hearing the managers talk, it's very easy to kind of sit there and think like, woof, I do not belong here kind of thing. Like, and it's just because you've got that lack of knowledge, but that's expected from people who are in their training period. So like I said, I can see why you could feel like that, but I think the main thing you should focus on is maybe just not letting that feeling push you back in any way or hold you back in any way, sorry. But yeah.
Yeah, and I would say as well, from being on the recruitment side, we get so many applications, so many people do assessment centres and interviews, and everyone here has had an offer, and it's a really competitive process. So you wouldn't be here with an offer. I know Lisa, my colleague, has replied to say you wouldn't be here if you weren't capable. So you've got here, so it's a big congratulations for everyone on the call that you've got this offer, and everyone you can do it. And I'm sure you'll do really well in the role when you join. Everyone kind of does feel like this from time to time. So just before we wrap up, I just wanted to go through everyone on the panel again, just to say, is there kind of any pieces of advice, or what's one bit of advice that you would give the future apprentices and graduates on this call before they join? So again, I'll just go left to right, and we'll just kind of finish off with this last question. Ethan, is there any advice that you would give to the people on the call?
I think my main piece of advice would just be ask questions. When you're in your first year, everyone expects you to not know anything. So just use that to your advantage and ask every question that you have to like your seniors, your peers, your counsellors, just anything that comes up, just ask. And someone is always happy to help you. That'd be my main piece of advice. And then I think one small thing for anyone in audit, make sure you know how to use Excel. If you've never seen it before, then maybe spend a little bit of time before September just learning the basics, because it will help you on your first day.
That's really good. That's really practical kind of things to take away as well. Thanks, Ethan. Dia, I'll pass to you.
I would say just be open to taking every opportunity, be open to asking questions, and definitely, yeah, I would say as you progress, definitely become better at setting boundaries. Yeah, just be open to learning and asking questions. And you need to remember that no one's going to think you're stupid if you ask any questions. They're all willing to teach you, and try and shape you into the, the future workforce. So yeah, definitely take every opportunity you can get.
Brandon, pass to you.
Not to echo what Ethan or Diaz said, but definitely agree with that. But to touch on something that I heard Lynn mention earlier on about how EY has such diverse personalities and things like that, the main thing I would say when you join is don't let your diverse personality, don't let what's unique about you go away. Don't try and fit into the crowd, because EY's main thing is the people and how that can bring innovation and things like that. So play into your own strengths. That, like Rachel said as well, there's a reason why everyone here's been given an offer, and it might be that you maybe shown something that partner or whoever interviewed you thought this could be someone who's innovative in 3 years' time, 4 years' time. So I would say play to your own strengths, and don't necessarily try and change who you are just to kind of fit into that, because it's a diverse place with diverse cultures. There's no need to do that.
Amazing. Thanks so much for that, Brandon. And then last but not least, I'll pass to Baddy for your advice.
I was just going to honestly reiterate what Ethan said. In your first year, you're not expected to know everything, so just make sure you ask as many questions as you can. No question is a stupid question, and I've mentioned it earlier, but focus on learning how to manage your tasks. And aside from that, well done for getting the offer.
Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for giving your time. I know everyone's really busy, so thanks for doing this kind of in the working day. I'm sure everyone's learned a lot, and hopefully everyone on the call is feeling more excited to join now. I was going to leave a bit of time at the end to try and do more like recruitment questions, but just because we're running out of bit of time, a lot more information is going to be coming to you from our teams. So the things I would say just before we leave is make sure that you're using the onboarder platform. So I think you probably are, because I think the link for this webinar was in there, but it's just all of our kind of important communications about your induction, your pre-employment screening, etc. will either be on the onboarder platform or via email. So just make sure that you're kind of checking those, and we'll keep you up to date with all the next steps are. We also have a lot of other things coming up for you all to get involved with. So we've got a newsletter that's due to come out at the end of the month with a few like case studies and answering a few different day in the life questions. We're also going to be holding events in your local office that you'll be joining. So I think information about them will be coming out soon. They're going to happen in the summertime, I think. So it'll be good to meet other people in person from the office you'll be joining. We're also going to be doing work readiness webinars. So more information will come on there. I know a lot of people were asking about what can I do to prepare, what can I do to be ready. So we are going to be holding work readiness webinars, and I've also heard that there's going to be gift boxes as well, so there'll probably be some cool EY merch coming your way as well. So I just wanted to cover that information. Sorry we weren't able to answer all the questions. We've got over 200 attendees on the call, so a lot of questions that we weren't able to answer, but as I say, we've got so much more information that will be coming to you soon. But thanks so much for joining this. I hope you found it useful. And I hope you can all get out and enjoy the sun now. Thanks so much for joining.